So Professor Rosa has had her little haircut, looking much sleeker. We can see your little eyes. Rabbits have got hay, not straw. There you go, Professor Rosa. So we're all ready to learn about Islam. Yes. Okay, so the nature of Allah. Most important topic in some ways, because the language you're going to use here is going to influence everything else you say. Most important word is probably Tawheed, okay? Tawhid, Tawheed. This is the oneness of Allah. The idea that there is one God who is one in every single sense. By one, he is the greatest in every single sense, but singularly, he is unique and eternal. There can be nothing else. There's just this one constant God who is always there. Say, he is Allah who is one, okay? Say, he is Allah who is one. Massively important. It shows that Allah is the most important and most unique and therefore worthy of worship. If there was any other God or any being similar to God, then maybe that being would be worthy of worship. But no, only Allah because of Tawheed, one God. And that takes you down to the 99 names of Allah. So there's one God and Muslims have 99 names for him. They don't mean names like Bob and Stephen, Frank and Tom. They mean names as in words that describe Allah, sort of terms that could be used as descriptors. So eternal or powerful. Now you can bust in omnipotent there from the Christian exam, still works. Justice or just, okay? God is just. He is like fair in every sense. He judges everyone. Everyone will be judged for their actions. Not begotten. That doesn't mean forgotten. That means not created by anyone else. Nothing created Allah. Why is it important that nothing creates Allah? Because if something was like the creator of Allah, we should worship that thing and not Allah. The other two terms that are massively important are transcendent versus immanent. Transcendent means beyond, incomprehensible, not on earth, not of earth, beyond the universe, beyond our understanding. No vision can grasp him. No vision can grasp him. You cannot grasp what that is. You cannot understand what Allah is because he is beyond our understanding. Beyond human understanding, a link to how that influences Muslims, we do not draw or try to put any images of Allah ever out there because you cannot comprehend what Allah looks like. However, though he is beyond the universe, he is also immanent. He is also closer to human than his jugular vein. Closer to human than his jugular vein. The his in that sentence is the human, not Allah's. Allah does not have a jugular vein. Allah is not a person. Allah is vital to human life, okay? So, like the jugular vein is the vein in your neck that keeps your blood going to your brain. It's the one that can kill you if it gets cut. That is how vital he is. He is as vital as our jugular vein. He gives guidance and we can see his impact, okay? We can see his impact in our day-to-day life. If ever you feel that you get a sign from above that you should follow one path and not the other, that is because Allah is immanent. If you ever feel that you see a miracle, that some sort of explosion happens and you are saved, you can say that is because Allah is immanent. He is closer to us than our jugular vein. Ow. Now, this is maybe the hardest thing to remember of all of it. The Sunni versus Shia, 6 articles versus the 5 roots. Sunni is the majority of Muslims, okay? And someone in class, Anastasia, I think, said that she'd come up with a way to remember it, and this made sense to me. Sunni is the longer word, so most of the things about Sunni Muslims is greater. Sunni Muslims pray 5 times, Shia Muslims pray 3 times. Sunni Muslims have 6 articles, Shia Muslims have 5 roots, okay? So there are more Sunni Muslims. There are 95% Sunni Muslims, 5% Shia Muslims. The 6 articles of faith and the 5 roots of faith, they have some things that are in common and some things that are different. So what they have in common, they both have Tawheed, the oneness of God. If you have to write an answer about how Sunni and Shia are similar or different, that is the most important thing to say that they are similar on. They both believe in Allah, and they both believe the same things about Allah in terms of there is one God who is all-powerful, who created everything, who is the Lord of all, who is judging us on Judgment Day. That is the most important idea, and therefore, when we say do they have more in common or more that separates them, well, they have more in common. How do they have more in common? Because they both believe in Tawheed. They both believe in this oneness of Allah. Have they got any other things in common? Well, yes, though phrased slightly differently, and you get away with saying afterlife for both of these. Sunni Muslims believe in Akira, and Shia Muslims believe in resurrection, which they'll often call Al-Mad, which you can call Al-Mad or just resurrection and Akira. These are the same sort of ideas, the idea that we'll die and we'll be reborn. So if the question asks for 2, and say that 2-mark question asks for 2 of the 5 roots or the 2 of the 6 articles, you could just say Tawheed and Afterlife, or Tawheed and Akira, and you would probably be right and marked correctly whichever way round it was. The other one that both believe in is the prophets, okay? Both believe in the prophets. Why do they both believe in the prophets? Well, because Muhammad, Adam and Ibrahim are massively important to both of them. Shia Muslims sometimes call the prophets this idea Nubuwah, Nubuwwah. It's two W's next to each other. It's not a very common letter combination. If you see that in a one mark question, it means prophets, okay? It means prophets. Nubuwah. Now, at that point, they separate, and the final 3 for Sunni Muslims and 2 for Shia Muslims are individual. Angels. Sunni Muslims consider angels one of the 6 articles. Shia Muslims do not consider them into the same level, okay? Sunni Muslims are vital for... angels are vital for Sunni Muslims. They are not considered quite as vital for Shia Muslims. Though still important and messengers of God, they don't include them in the 6 articles of faith. Holy books, okay? Holy books are obviously vital for Sunni Muslims and more vital for Sunni Muslims than for Shia Muslims in some way, because Shia Muslims have the Imamate. The Imamate was the human leadership of Shia Islam after the death of the Prophet. We'll talk about the Imamate more later, but that is sort of a massive split, and it's probably the biggest difference in the religions. Sunni Muslims have got complete dependence on the holy books. Shia Muslims have got the Imamate, the idea that humans can lead the religion. The death of the Prophet Muhammad leads to Ali taking over the religion for Shia Muslims and Abu Bakr taking it over for Sunni Muslims, and therefore we have this split where one is more dedicated to the Quran being in charge, and the other one is dedicated to humans being in charge. The other idea that Sunni Muslims like is this idea of predestination. Predestination is the idea that everything is destined in advance. Everything is destined in advance. We'll do more about predestination in a bit. One we will not talk about much more is justice, otherwise called adalat. Oh yeah, predestination can get called al-qadir, A-L space Q-A-D-R. Justice can get called adalat, A-D-A-L-A-T. Adalat, A-D-A-L-A-T. Have I spelled that right? Adalat. Yeah, adalat. That's right. So it can get called the adalat, which is just another word for justice. I might as well write the other ones down while I'm here. Nubu, W-W-A-H, Nubuwah. The predestination can also get called al-qadar. I mean, I've not seen it in the spec. There is a word for angels, malakia, which is... I don't think will come up in any sense. And holy books, occasionally in some of the textbooks, gets called the authority of Katub. But once again, I've not seen it on the specs. I would be incredibly disappointed if they asked about that. But just so I'll say it, authority of Katub, which is a really rare term for the power of the holy books. So let's look at the prophets, which can also sometimes get referred to as Risalah. So Risalah is essentially any way that Allah chooses to interact with mankind. Any time that the prophets, the angels, or the holy book is giving us God's guidance, that is considered Risalah. How does Allah interact with us? And the most important way is probably the prophet for Shia and Sunni. It's one that they both have in common, whereas only Sunni truly put the angels on their list and the holy books. Both Sunni and Shia love the prophets. And so why prophets? Well, prophets are human beings who can deliver the message of God. God cannot deliver the message himself, so the message is sent through his prophets, people chosen on earth to be his messengers, people who have a specific purpose to deliver the faith to us. The most important and final being the last prophet, is the prophet Muhammad. Okay, this is a massive idea for Muslims. Muhammad is the final prophet. The religion cannot carry on after this in terms of it cannot develop. There will be no other prophet. If there is another prophet, then that religion will not be considered Islam anyway. It will not be a Muslim religion. It will be something completely different. So Muhammad is the final prophet. He is chosen by Allah. Why choose Muhammad? Well, Muhammad had been an orphan. His mother had died just after he was born. His father had died before he was born. So he'd known hardship. He had been a businessman working with his uncle in the Qurayshi tribe as a caravan trader across the desert, running camels across the desert. In these dealings, he had been known to be loyal and trustworthy and honest in business. The people listened to him. The people of Mecca listened to him. Why is this important? Well, he's going to eventually have to spread them a message. He also believes in one God. And while other people are celebrating many gods and these statues that sit in the middle of Mecca, other people are not. Other people are celebrating they've got these idols, whereas Muhammad is into one God. And this leads us to the Night of Power. Okay, the Night of Power is this massive festival where everyone is celebrating all the idols, they're having worship. Muhammad's like, no, screw that. I'm off to the mountain. I'm off into a cave to go and pray to Allah. I'm going to go and pray, and I'm going to go and focus on God. And he was fasting at the time. He'd not been eating in terms of his prayer. So he's fasting and praying, which we'll look at when we do Muslim practices. But he's massively dedicated, and this is when we have the Night of Power. The angel Gabriel, but Jibril if you want to go proper, turns up and says, speak, speak, speak. Why is he saying speak, speak, speak? Because he is transmitting to Muhammad the words of the Quran. The words of the Quran are the words of God. They are in Arabic, and Muhammad, as if from nowhere, could just say them out loud. He could recite the Quran. However, Muhammad himself is illiterate. What does that mean? He can't read or write. And so, rather than writing down himself, he says it out loud and has scribes transcribe it. Quran translates to the transcribed in some ways. Like, it's a rough translation, but it means a document that is transcribed. Then, later on in his life, so the Quran is written down, Muhammad carries on living, he tries to promote the religion, he gets chased out of Mecca because the people won't listen to him because he wants to destroy the statues they all worship. He goes to Medina, finds followers in Medina, he does not give up. The people are like, yes, you're the right man to follow, you're dedicated, you're committed, you're willing to fight for the cause, you're willing to be honest and trustworthy with us, we're going to follow you. He goes back to Mecca, it ends up in a war where like his side defeat the other side, and he ends up sort of in charge and going, right, we're all going to be Muslims now, we're going to follow my teachings. And then he has the night journey. The night journey is fascinating. So Jibril, the angel, turns up again and goes, hey, I'm with my horse Barak. They jump onto the horse Barak, which is a horse with a human face. They ride the horse with a human face over from Mecca to Jerusalem. Obviously, quick trip over from Mecca to Jerusalem. They go and meet all the ancient prophets. They go and meet Ibrahim and Adam and all the others as well, who teach them how to pray and live good lives. Then Muhammad comes back and tells everyone what happened. Now, it's an interesting one, the night journey. Some Muslims do not believe the night journey should be taken as a literal event, more of a story that Muhammad told about having a vision of the prophets or having like visions or dreams of the prophets. Some Muslims are like, no, horse with a human face called Barak turns up and we literally flew to Mecca. That is literally what happened. So that is some debate, but it's an interesting one. So you've got the Night of Power and the Night Journey. If you only have to remember one, remember the Night of Power. More important than the Night Journey for 99.9% of Muslims, because it is when the Quran is first written. Other prophets you might want to talk about. Ibrahim. So Ibrahim's whole role is that he is tested and shows us that we should keep our faith even when things are difficult and that we should trust in God. How do we know this? Well, he is tested twice. Okay, the most famous test is the second test, where he takes his son up a mountain. He is told to kill his son by Allah. He is willing to do this. He goes to plunge his knife into his son, and at last minute God goes, stop, don't do that. This is a test. Kill that goat for me instead. Now, in Muslim practices, that leads us to the festival of Eid al-Adha, the festival, or Big Eid, the Eid festival at the time of the Hajj, because it is the Prophet Ibrahim who built the Hajj as well. But mainly its importance is that it teaches us to trust in God no matter what. Ibrahim was trusted because he was willing to sacrifice for God. Okay, Islam translates as surrender. We need to surrender ourselves to God's will, okay? Inshallah, as God wills it. Whatever God wills, we must do. So if Allah has suggested that we need to kill our son and spoken to you directly, then you should do. He knows this because the angel Jibril came and spoke to him. Now, there is another Ibrahim story. It's slightly odder. Ibrahim turns up at the village where he lives. He turns up with an axe and into Mecca. He smashes all the statues, not the village where he lives. He turned up Mecca, smashes all the statues in Mecca. The people are really annoyed at him. And they go, right, we're going to put him in a catapult and throw him into a fire. The line from the Quran is, a fire so large that even birds could not fly over it. And then the angel, Jibril, turns up and goes, hey, Ibrahim, what do you want most in the world? Now, most people's answer would be to not be in this catapult because he was chained up in a bag in the catapult, not to be in this catapult about to be thrown into this fire. Whereas Ibrahim is so loyal to Allah, he just goes, I just want to please Allah. Now, you'd think that the angel would get him out the bag at that point and like freeze time and help him escape. He does not. He lets him get thrown into the fire, and just Ibrahim just gets up and walks out. The people are like, oh my God. And some of the people are still angry at Ibrahim, and some are like, you're chosen by God, we're going to worship you now. Honestly, if I saw a bloke walk out of a fire that I'd catapulted into like nothing happened, all the chains just melted off him, and then he was fine, I would probably be like, yeah, I'll worship you. Like, you can walk in fire. The first prophet is Adam. Adam as in from Adam and Eve. The Islamic story is Adam and Hawa. Adam is the first prophet created directly by Allah. Okay? Made of 7 types of earth, so he's the father of all races. It shows why all people are one, no matter what skin colour, because we are all from Adam. He is given free will, unlike the angels. In fact, Iblis, the angel who becomes Shaitan, the devil essentially, is the only angel who will not bow down to Adam. The angels are said to just do exactly as they are told, whereas Iblis will not, and that is a sign that he is disloyal to Allah and therefore becomes the devil. He is sort of Satan, or Shaitan as it's usually performed. He's taught to farm and to look after the earth. So that's his role. That's how he influences us today. Anything to do with the earth comes directly from Adam. So if you talk about why Ibrahim influences us today, well, Ibrahim influences us to trust in God's plan no matter what is going on. Adam influences us to look after the earth and to treat each other as we would be treated ourselves, because we are all from Adam no matter what skin colour we are. And finally, holy books. So, holy books. The most important holy book is obviously the Quran, okay? The Quran is the only one that is infallible, okay? I'm going to write that word down because it's a nice word to make you sound smart, okay? Infallible. Okay, that means without mistakes. If a book is infallible, it does not have any mistakes. The book comes directly from Allah, but as we said earlier, it comes on the night of power, okay? So Allah cannot speak directly to Muhammad because he is transcendent, as we said earlier. So Jibreel has to do the communication of this message. So it goes Allah to Jibreel to Prophet Muhammad, who says it out loud where it is transcribed. It is in Arabic, said by Muhammad and then transcribed. It is in Arabic, so it can never be changed. Why can it never be changed? Well, because it's still important. It's got rules and advice and history, and if these are the words of Allah, we cannot change them. We cannot translate them because that might change the meaning, and any slight change to them would mean that we are not doing things correctly anymore. The other books are the words of Allah, but they are not perfect because they may have been translated and changed over the years. These other books could be the Torah, which often gets called the Torah, which tells the story of Moses, the Scrolls of Ibrahim, which are advice for good living and sort of rules about how to live a good life. The Psalms, which often gets called the Zabur, which are like prayers and poems. And the Gospel, or the Injil, the story of Jesus. If it asks you for 2 holy books other than the Quran, I would go Gospels and Torah, personally, because I think they're the easiest to remember. But any of those 2 would be fine. Obviously, the most important is still the Quran. If the question is a 12 marker about why the Quran is so important, it's infallible. It's the word of God without any mistakes because it has never been changed. However, are these books important? Of course they are. They're still the word of God. Muslims should still know them and read them, but they cannot be trusted to the same degree the Quran has because they've been translated and there may be human errors within them. Okay, and I think most importantly, as we finish off, is, you know what? I'm going to show you a rude picture now. Rude.